Good day, folks. This is your hillbilly historian from your History Channel talking about today Ronald Reagan and his Pope, Pope John Paul II, a Polak. Yes, he was from a Polish town that I cannot pronounce, but he was from Poland, selected as Pope. And him and Reagan got together and they plotted how to bring down the European communism. Amazing, amazing story. Amazing idea. Now, all they wanted to do was bring down communism in Poland. So they decided to do a little work in Poland to wake the people up to Western civilization and bring them out of the dark ages that communism puts people in and has to keep them in to keep them under control. But anyway, Pope John Paul II and Ronald Reagan sat down and plotted, and their plan was to flood Poland with modern personal items like cell phones, satellite access to television and to communications, VHS players, VHS tapes by the thousands, tens of thousands, fax machines, personal computers, things that people in the West enjoyed in their homes and used to communicate and to learn about each other and what's going on in society and what life should really be like. And they flooded Poland with all these modern items and these, especially these VHS players with VHS tapes of movies and documentaries and things that told the truth about the West. You know, we had Radio Free Europe, but it wasn't making a significant impact. It was making a very small impact. But there's something about, somebody said one time, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, videos, VHS videos, are worth millions and millions of words. And images, people learn from images, and they are impressed by things they can see. But what happened was something that Reagan or Pope John Paul II didn't see coming, was these items that they flooded Poland with didn't stay in Poland. They went over into Czechoslovakia, Romania, Bulgaria, Belarus, Ukraine, Russia itself, even into Siberia. And in small towns in Siberia, they'd have a VHS player, and a new tape would come to town, and they would secretly let everybody know that they had a new video, and they would gather at somebody's house where the VHS tape player was and watch these videos. Now, you know, under Russian communism, you order a car, it could take 10 years. 10 years before your car was delivered to you. Reagan used to tell a joke about how somebody ordered a car and they said, well, do you want to pick it up in the morning or afternoon? Well, I can't, 10 years from now, well, I can't come in the morning because the plumber's coming that morning. Hey, that's how poor services were for personal items in Russia. and communism under communism, and communists, they didn't mind killing you in a heartbeat, but they sure didn't want you to have anything. That went to all the elites. But anyway, people would go to these towns and they'd watch these videos, and they'd be watching a shootout, a Sylvester Stallone movie where there's a shootout in a grocery store. Hell, they didn't care about the shootout. They wanted to stop the VHS tape. It had pause, it had rewind, it had slow motion, it had all these items. They wanted to study what was on the shelves of the grocery store. They couldn't believe grocery stores in the West had all these items. They just couldn't believe that our grocery stores were just stocked with hundreds, tens of thousands of items for shoppers to choose from. They didn't care whether Sylvester Stallone took out the bad guy or not. That didn't concern them a bit. They wanted to look at them grocery shelves. And when they'd have a car scene on the interstate where maybe 20, 30, 40 cars got tore all to pieces, they said, they got enough cars to do that. Look at them. They're bumper to bumper on their highways. They're just, everybody, one person to a car. It's unreal how many cars they got. They can afford to tear up 30 or 40 there on the interstate to make this movie. They got that many cars. I mean, it just, it really woke the people up. They saw what Western civilization looked like, and they wanted a part of that. They didn't want to live under this communism where you couldn't have anything. They wanted to live in abundance like the people in the West. And all the propaganda in the world couldn't stop these images in their heads and in their hearts. They wanted to be a part of this modern economy. They didn't want to live like frontiersmen and old shacks and stuff with nothing, and eating the same old boring porridge every day, like eating oatmeal 3 meals a day every day. They didn't want that anymore. They wanted to go in one of these modern grocery stores and be able to pick out pre-cooked bacon and pre-prepared mashed potatoes and gravy in a package. Just put hot water in it and you got gravy. I mean, they wanted some of these modern things. Those images stuck in their head. And my folks, that is what brought communism to its knees. The Russian Empire collapsed because of a little plot. Pope John Paul II and Ronald Reagan was going to flood. Poland was already kind of rattling with some freedom. They had a workers' movement. Zach Walesa, or whatever his name was, Walesa. Some of these people, they already had a workers' movement going. So basically, the Pope and Ronald Reagan threw gasoline on this fire and made it a lot more hotter, a lot more fierce, and a lot more effective. But these people in Siberia and Russia and Ukraine and Belarus and all these, Latvia, Estonia, when they began to see these images of Western wealth and how many products they had to choose from when they went to a grocery store, or how quickly they could get a car, how many cars there were. These images stuck in these people's minds and hearts, and that brought about the collapse. They climbed up on the wall of the Iron Curtain, and they brought it down. They brought it down. Knowledge frees mankind. Knowledge. That's why Chinese communism has to let people earn money. You know, they've got all them smartphones and everything, and they see images of what the West is really like. So China had to provide this for their people, or they was going to overthrow Chinese communism. So communism in places like China and Vietnam, places, they had to succumb to the abundance of the West, and they had to get aboard and let their people have these things for personal satisfaction, and that can cause the death of communism when they see how advantageous it can be to live in a free market society. A free market is the best there is. Us Scotsmen have known this ever since Adam Smith. You know that the free market is what works for the betterment of mankind, and not tyrannical communism or socialism or Marxism, that garbage. It looks good in theory, but it sucks in reality. So there you go, folks. Your hillbilly historian giving you a little insight into a small plot of Pope John Paul II and Ronald Reagan in the 1980s, when they got together, plotted to inform the Polish people of what it's like in the West, and it bled over the borders of Poland into all the other Eastern European communist nations, and they said, screw this, I want to live like them people over there. And it brought down the Russian Empire, the Communist Empire. And that's what openness, transparency, knowledge, truth, and all that can do for mankind. It makes life so much better for everybody. The free marketplace, and these tyrannical dictators, they have no place on this planet. They have no place in this world. All they do is they just want control, where they can make life worse for mankind, and they can suck up his wealth and use it to their own personal benefit instead of actually getting out and earning it. Because you can earn it. All you got to do is work hard, work smart, and you can become a millionaire in no time at all. But anyway, folks, this is your hillbilly historian signing off here in the hills of East Tennessee, the Appalachia, one of the most beautiful territories on earth, for people who believe in freedom, personal and individualized freedom in the free marketplace. And you have a good day.